Okay, folks, let me show you how I came to get my marks on the buckets to be able to drill. I wanted to make sure that things were level and everything was, looked aesthetically good. So here's how I did it, and you're probably going to laugh, maybe not. But what I did is one of the step drills that I used. What I did is I took and I tied a piece of thread to it. And what I did, this is the marking down here actually. That black marking on there that you see, I know the camera's not wanting to focus. That is actually for the spigot. So that is what that is going to be for. And what I did was I measured halfway in between the handles. So there's a handle there, come over there, there's a handle there. I measured halfway in between. I made a little bitty mark up here, and then I hung my thread down, and as you can see, if it was standing still, it would line up. I also made sure to use a level so that I knew that I was going to be accurate when I hung that piece of thread. Now, I've got two other markings. Let me take the level off, and I did the same thing here. Now, these are going to be for the sight indicator, the level, to tell the water level. That's what these markings are going to be for. One's going to be right there where you see that black dot, and the other one's going to be right there. Not this dot here. That's a mistake. It's going to be that dot there where you see that black mark there. And so I made those markings because, like I said, I want it to aesthetically look good. I want it to be level. And I wanted to do good for its purpose. So we should be about ready to drill our pilot holes. Now, I have not made any marks in the lids, in the lid of the bottom bucket or in the bottom of the top bucket. Now, the reason why is because I'm essentially going to keep in line with these handles, and that's not going to be super scientific. I'm just going to go in there, I'm going to measure in from the wall, and I'm going to try and stay somewhat in line with these. I also have a vent tube that I have to put up, and that, again, not super scientific. I'm just going to kind of put that off to the edge, off to one of the edges, and again, it doesn't have to be super perfect. I was more concerned with the outside than what I was what the filters, how the filters are going to be set up. It doesn't matter whether they're in line with the handle here or whether they're, perpendicular to the handle. It doesn't really matter. So anyway, I wanted to show you how I came up with the markings. Let me get the drill ready, and I will start drilling pilot holes. Okay, nothing really super exciting here. If you've noticed, I've got the level back on the bucket again. I wanted to make sure that the table was level, and the reason why is because the drill has a level on it. And so I want to try to get these holes as level as possible for obvious reasons. And I would normally use a smaller bit to drill pilot holes, but this would be the smallest bit I have access to. So let me I'm going to do something you should probably never do. I'm actually going to stick my thumb right under here, but I'm going to take it real easy, and I'm going to turn the drill the right way, and I'm going to take it real easy when I drill, but I'm going to do that to help hold it level, okay? So it might be a little hard to see, and I just kind of got to eye it up as far as being straight on the bucket. I'm mainly concerned about being level. There we go. There's our first pilot hole. I'm going to put the bucket upside down. Double check just to make sure. That's good enough for me. And I'm going to repeat the same thing I just did. is for the sight tube. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to swing the bucket around here, and I've got one more here. This is for the spigot. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change out my bit real quick. And I'm going to go to the step drill. And the large size on this is 3/4 inch. It's a 3/4 inch step drill, okay? So what I'm going to do, you could use a whole saw as well. I just went with this because this had the 2 sizes that I needed. So that's why it was better off just to go with. I bought a set of these that they came 3 of them. There's 2 of them. I'll explain the tape here in a moment. So this gets 3/4 inch, so I'm just going to go ahead and run it through all the way. And once again, I'm going to change out my bit. Now, the reason for the tape, and a lot of you may have already figured it out. The reason for the tape is I want a hole that's 11/32, okay? And so that's an easy reference for me to be able to see so I don't go any bigger, because I cannot go bigger than that. So that's why there's the tape there. It's just for a visual reference to know that that's as big as I go. Once again, I'm going to get the step drill started. I'm going to make sure that it's level, make sure that I'm somewhat straight on everything here. Oops. And I'm going to turn the drill the right direction. Something about drills, they only want to drill one way. I don't know what that is. Might be design, physics, something like that. Let's see. Straight on the bucket the best I can. We're not in a race, we're just going to take it easy. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out, and I'm going to clear that off of there so that I can see good. Okay, we've got one more step to go up. And that's that. Now, the reason I'm so particular about that is because of these threads. I want to thread this in here. And that's a little tight, and that's okay. I want it to be a little tight. I'm actually going to stick this back in here and just give it a little wallow. Because I want this to just start in here. Okay? It's not quite starting. I might even be able to go up to that next size. And if I can go up to that next size, which it looks like that's what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the third one that I got, which doesn't have as many sizes on it, but it's got wider steps on it. Let me go ahead and pull that out. me see, that should, yep, see it just a little small for that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and drill it for that. I think we're going to be okay. I wasn't 100% sure, so I wanted to, I'd rather be safe than sorry. The idea is, oops, sorry, didn't mean to bump the camera. The idea is that this fits super snug. Okay, and it's going to. That's the idea. We want it to be super, super snug. So, and I think that's going to be fine. In fact, we can try to get it to start to thread there. I believe we did. And that's what we want. We want it to be real nice and snug like that. Okay, that's exactly what we want right there. Exactly what we're looking for. And then what we're going to do is, after I get those both in, is we'll run a bead of glue. We're going to run a bead of glue into the threads, and we'll run a bead of glue into around the threads on the inside to help hold it. It doesn't thread real super good, but I do believe it's going to be just fine for our purposes. Oops, I know I'm off camera there. I was just trying to pull that out. Okay, let's go ahead and do our top one. One more size bigger. That's what I thought. I wanted to make sure. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put in the spigot in the bottom, because there's no reason why we can't go ahead and do that. Thomason spigot. I don't know if I can get up in there or not. Okay, our spigot is in. That should be good and tight. It shouldn't have any leaks or anything like that. And the reason I drove that hole up a little high, that way this can be scooted back on a counter, and that it's not going to catch the edge of the counter. So I will be back and we will work on gluing these. I've got the other bucket to do too. I'll probably go ahead and do that up real fast off camera, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, well, you're wondering, wait a minute, he's already done. Well, I'll tell you what, I got kind of compressed for time, so I had to rush what I was doing a little bit. But this is not rocket science, folks, and I already showed you the kind of important parts of it. And I'm going to just show you what I did as kind of a follow-up. You don't actually have to see me actually go through doing it to be able to understand what I did. And I will show what I did, and I will explain why I did it that way. Now, I did use this glue here, and I wasn't 110% positive that I wasn't going to have any problems, okay? This is B7000. Everything I used on this, I will put a link in the description of this video for everything that I used in this project, okay? So, I wasn't 100% sure on this. It smells kind of like model glue. So, but it seems so far to be working fine. I don't have any leaks at all, which is absolutely awesome. So, let me show you what I did. Now, I did show you when I put the holes in the sides of the bucket. Then what I did is I took the 90-degree elbows that I bought, and again, the links to all this stuff will be in the description, and I screwed those in, and I left a little over 1/8 of an inch, probably between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch, before they were tight. And they won't screw down tight because you're not screwing into threads, okay? You're just essentially screwing into a piece of plastic that's unthreaded, and it's going to spin. But you want it to be snug, and snug enough that it will actually pull itself in. Then what I did though, while it was still out a little bit, I took some of this glue and I ran it around the threads. Then I screwed it up tight. Then I took and I put a bead of glue around the fitting, and I laid the bucket on its side with the fittings straight up. That way the glue wouldn't run, it would stay right there and dry. So that's what I did there, and I did that on the outside. I did that 4 times. I did that 1 time here, 1 time here, 1 time here, and 1 time here. Then all I did is I take this hose, this rubber hose that I bought. This is the stuff here. Got a 10-foot roll of it. So there was absolutely plenty. 3/8 inch inside diameter, 1/2 inch outside diameter. And those are for my sight tube. Okay, so you can see what I did there, and I'll show you what it looks like on the inside of the bucket here. That's what it looks like on the inside of the bucket. And then what I did was I took a 5th 90 and I went through the bottom of the top bucket and the top of the bottom bucket. Okay, why did I do that? For a vent tube. Let me show you down in there. So you see down in there a vent tube, and then what I did that the exact same way. I just installed that filter that you're looking at first to help hold those two pieces together. Then I put that in there, the 90 in there, and I put a bead of glue around the top, and on that I also, after that dried enough that it wasn't going to run, I flipped it over and I put a bead around the bottom, so that way it won't leak. It won't leak either way. The bottom won't leak through the top lid, or I should say the bottom water won't leak through the bottom lid, and vice versa. The top won't leak down underneath. So far I don't see any leaks. That's good. There are 2 filters in the system, as you can see. Yes, they are kind of close to the wall. I don't think that's going to really make a difference. Closer than what I actually planned on. I thought they were going to be scooted in a little bit more when I made my holes. Again, not going to affect anything, not going to make a difference, not a big deal. So then what I did is I took another length of hose and I ran it from that fitting, the barb, up to here. And then what I did is I took a piece of metal wire and I poked a couple of small holes. I just heated up the wire and poked it through. And I mean, it's kind of a shoddy job. There's probably 1,000,001 better ways to do it, but it doesn't matter. All you got to do is hold the hose up, because that is a vent tube, okay? That's all you got to do. Keep that hose held up. However you choose to do it, it'll probably work just fine. So anyway, that's what's going on in this upper bucket. Now, let me raise it up, and show you what I got going on in here. And you'll see the water dripping there. Okay. It's not dripping. You see where that vent comes through? You can see there is absolutely no water leaking from that. None. So, and you can also see the glue, the bead of glue that I put down there. And like I say, you see those two leaking. Not leaking, but filtered water dripping. And so it takes a while. It takes a while. It hasn't been super, super long, but I've already got the bucket this full. So I'm kind of impressed. Now, if you look on there, I don't have beads of glue on the inside on those 90s. I don't think I'm going to need it. The 90s fit really, really, really snug. Okay? So all I needed was just a little bit of something to help it seal. Just a little bit, nothing, nothing major. So it's just dripping away down there. Now the Tomlinson spigot, all it does is it's got two washers and a nut, or well, two seals and a nut. Of course, one seal on each side of the bucket, and then you screw the nut down tight, and you shouldn't have any problems with that leaking at all. That should be perfectly fine. So really, I mean, that's all to it. There isn't. It's not rocket science. You don't have to get any more extravagant, really. I just wanted to have sight tubes on this one, both an upper and lower sight tube. I didn't have those on the first one that I built years ago, and I think it's a nice addition. I also did not have the vent tube on the one that I made before, and the thing of it is, I didn't have the vent tube on the one that I made before, and you know, I don't know how well that would have worked if I would have sealed this down. I don't think it would have worked very well. My bottom lid wasn't sealed down on the first one that I made, and the problem with that is you have to be wary of how much water you have in here, because otherwise you'll start leaking out of the top of your bottom bucket if you overfill the bottom bucket. So that's why. That's essentially why. It's not really a big deal, but I wanted to show that to you. And so all I have left to do is I'm going to go get a piece of wood. I'm going to take a hammer, and I'm going to make sure that this is all lined up nice and straight and looks good. And I'm just going to take that piece of wood and lay it up on this bead here, and I'm going to smack it with a hammer and smack it all down into place. Now, at some point, I'm sure I'm going to need to get back into the bottom bucket, and when I do, all I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go to every other hole here and just make a nice slit down on every other hole and see if that's enough. Even before I tried that, I'm going to try and take a screwdriver and stick up in there and see if I can pop this top lid off without even cutting any of those. Because I'd like to try to retain as much integrity and strength of that as I can, of that latch that is in there. So that's where we're at. Again, it's not rocket science, folks. It's not. I'll put a link to everything I used in the description. If you got any questions, absolutely, without a doubt, feel free to ask. I want to thank you for watching, and as always, God bless you all, we love you all, and be one with your spirit.